Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I am your host, Randi-lee. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking to Dr. Christine Sauer. Welcome, Christine. Excited to have you.
Welcome, Randy. I'm so excited to be on your show, Write or Die. Well, isn't that true?
Oh, yeah. Well, the name actually came because it is so true. I started writing as a teenager for my depression so that I didn't die. So
We are very similar that way. I started journaling or writing for my depression when I was 11.
there you
And
go.
since my parents used to read my own journals, I found that out. So I switched to writing shorthand.
Yes.
Great thing for teenagers where the parents read their journals. And
Oh,
now
yeah.
I still have the journals in a box, but I can't read my shorthand anymore. I have to learn.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, I actually I did it as poetry and nobody read it but me. But now it's out there in a book. That was my very first book I published. I put all my poetry together.
Yeah, I've seen you're quite an accomplished author. Congratulations. I love to write too, but not that many books yet. Yet.
Oh, and I've got so many more in my brain. Whew. It's coming. It's coming.
My brain is full too. Let's pour them out.
That's
The
right.
world needs it.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm Christine, and I was a very depressed and anxious person. And I actually worked as a successful physician in Germany in spite of all that. And a naturopath, had a big practice, married, had 2 children. It all went over the place, and it ended in my ex-husband's suicide. And 25 years ago, we immigrated to Canada with 2 teenage sons. Now that made things worse, and I've talked about it many of times, but it was a very dark time in my life. 25 years ago, it was so bad, I was admitted to the mental hospital, was there for 4 weeks because after 2 suicide attempts. In spite of their children, it wasn't worth anymore. There was no hope, I felt.
Yeah.
Little did I know how wrong I was. I mean, it hasn't been the first time I was wrong, and probably not the last time.
No, that's part of being human. We make mistakes.
Yeah. And so after that bout, I recovered a little bit. I struggled. I met my now husband, the sweetheart. And I struggled for about 10 years. And I was on medication. I took psychotherapy. I was existing, but I wasn't thriving. So one day I woke up and I said to myself, listen, this is not the life that I want to live going forward.
Yeah.
I'm in my 40s. My children are out of the house. I'm just sitting around watching TV, reading stuff that I'm really not interested in. What do I, Christine, want to do with the rest of my life? Either I stay around, do nothing, or I put everything I learned in my life and my pre-existing knowledge and everything I experienced to good use and put it out there to the world and start sharing what I learned to help others. And so first, I learned some more. I learned about how to get myself well, started with supplements, nutrition, lifestyle change, habit forming, psychology, all reading up on things that I had neglected in the past. Then I discovered Dr. Daniel Amen, one of my mentors. I love him. I'm on his teaching team by now. Dr. Joseph McGlendon, another mentor. I'm on his teaching team too. He's awesome.
Wow.
Neuroencoding, NLP. And I discovered an awesome technique. Well, it's really way more than a technique to help people with anxiety and PTSD. It's called havening techniques. And I became a certified havening practitioner, which includes some hypnotherapy.
Okay.
So I have a very complex approach.
Sounds like it, but that's good.
Yeah, I love it. And so I struggled along for approaching everything myself, doing it myself, and then doing in the end what I know I do best, which is putting all the information out there because Mr. Google knows it all. Just do a Google search and find 3,587,000 answers.
Yes, you will.
Which one is the one for you? Who knows?
Yeah.
So That's why I took all those information and distilled it down.
Okay.
I developed a 7-step strategy, and that I shared with my clients. And that's the one I followed. And I still follow those 7 steps with my clients and help them to get from depressed and anxious to being relatively happy, content, living forward, letting go of the past, forgiving their past, living in the now, but looking forward to a better future.
Okay.
So that was not the end, because I'm 60. I'm just starting my life.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And
You went through a long time of life wasn't worth living, and now you're like, oh, I got so much.
I got so much to give to others. I got so much to share and to give others hope. So I started speaking on stages.
Nice.
I started my podcast. I had a radio show podcast. I will actually do a TED Talk in February. I hoped it would be in person, but due to
cool.
Omicron, it will be online, but it will be
Yeah.
exciting. And I'll be
What's
talking
it about specifically?
bridging the gap, how to treat depression naturally.
Nice.
And after all that, I thought about how can I pay it forward? What do people, especially women, need most in these times? Because we all had a hard year, or really 2 years. After all this COVID came around and all the government regulations and the changes and the uncertainty.
Are you still in Canada?
I'm in Canada, in Halifax.
Halifax. Okay, so I'm in Ontario. And we just, as of tomorrow, I guess they just announced it yesterday, as of tomorrow, we're going back in what they're calling a modified stage 2. It's really just another kind of lockdown.
Yeah, they lock us down and isolate us from what we need most of all as people, which is commonality, a community, other humans.
Yeah.
So I thought, how can I help? What can I pay it forward? So together with my fellow, I call her sister by choice, I created now a community, an online community.
Nice.
I called it the Sparkle Sisters.
I love it.
And it's free. And we have 2 community meetings a month. We just started. So just go to sparklesisters.org, check it out, become a member. It is wonderful. It is just for women. And oh my God, it's just to pay it forward. And I'm so looking forward to seeing other women start to sparkle.
That is awesome. All right, so let's go back in history here. When did you first notice your feelings of depression?
When I was 14.
And how did you notice
I first wanted to kill myself.
Oh my goodness.
I went to the library, no internet then, no computers. I'm old, you know. And so I went to the library and looked around for stuff to learn about what to do when you feel down in the dumps, when you want to kill yourself. And you know what? A book fell in my lap, Serendipity. I know it. So this book, interestingly, was an English language book, and it was by the humanist psychologist Carl Rogers. The title was On Becoming a Person. And my 14-year-old self looked at the title and said, that's what I want to do.
Perfect.
And believe you me, it's 44 years later, I'm still doing it.
That's so crazy that it just sort of fell into your lap. It's amazing how life works sometimes.
Yeah, serendipity. It hit several times in my life, and I'm grateful for every instant.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
That's my
life is short. Do stuff that matters. Oh, I love it. So for anybody listening and not watching, that was what was written on Christine's cup. And it's awesome.
Yes, and I got it actually from Danny Eine. He was a fellow Canadian. He is a business coach.
Nice.
I like the cup so much that I have it every time I drink my tea or coffee. Life is short. Do stuff that matters.
I love it. I really do. All right. So 14, you got this book and you went, yes, this is what I need. So now maybe you're not thinking about killing yourself anymore. What happened from there?
Oh, well, I started to research. I always was a researcher.
Sounds
I
like it.
knew I wanted to be a doctor when I was 4 years old. And my
Okay.
parents wanted me to be a physician because I was only valuable in their eyes if I was successful and got a good education, made lots of money. So I did. I was fortunate because I fit their mold. Not
Yes.
everybody does. So I excelled in school. I finished at the top of my class. I had no problem getting into medical school. I finished medical school while having two children in the meantime. Um, I started my ex-husband's family practice. I worked in the family practice. We did in Germany house calls, emergency duty. The doctors here don't know what it is to be a family doctor. I have done it. We went out in the middle of the night in a snowstorm to attend to heart attack or to stroke or
Wow.
to an accident on the nearby road.
That's definitely not how it is here nowadays.
I know. And I tell you, it is quite an experience when you are in your practice and somebody comes in, and I can tell tons of stories about people, but this one impressed me the most because it was a young man. Two of his friends dragged him in, and I thought, oh my God, a drunk. It was
Yeah.
after the weekend. So I put him in a room in the office and he started throwing up. So I said, oh yeah, right, that too. So then my mind kicked in as a doctor and I said, hey, get the lamp, look in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment I realized what really was going on with that man, because one pupil was white, the other one was little. So I knew, wow, this boy has a brain bleed. So I
Oh
called the
my.
helicopter. First time the helicopter landed on our parking lot.
Oh
I,
my goodness. That's kind of cool.
that was cool, yeah.
Ah. All
He
right.
survived it. That was even cooler.
Oh, good, good.
It was early enough. They could fix it. They could clip it. He
Well, thank
survived.
goodness for his friends.
Yeah,
Those are some good friends.
he had good friends because they didn't know what was wrong with him. They found him and thought he was drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And that's
Mm.
when I used to teach CPR and first aid, one of the big things that we are taught as instructors to say is that don't assume somebody is drunk or on drugs because so many illnesses or injuries can look like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's important for people to consider that when somebody lays on the street in his own vomit, maybe he's not drunk on drugs, and maybe
Yeah.
he is. We
Yep.
don't know. It's always correct to look if he's alive, if he's needing help or she, and if they do, help them out. They're
Yep.
human beings just like us.
Exactly. All right. So you became this doctor, you had two kids. Eventually you got divorced by the sounds of it.
I did.
No? Well, you kept saying ex-husband. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is kind of my former husband, I should say, because he committed suicide eventually.
Yeah. So I was going to ask about that because you said that earlier, but then you also said ex. So then I was.
Now, what happened is I was working in the practice. I had a dermatology office too. I'm a dermatologist too and an allergist.
Is there any kind of doctoring you don't do?
I do not any of it anymore.
Okay. All right. But you were
Uh,
doing all of it.
I was doing all of it. I was treating pretty much anything. It was so much fun. I enjoyed and still do. I enjoy helping people. I just do it in a different way now. So what happened is I was working in my practice, and in Germany, you have about 2 or 3 times as many patients as here in the same time.
Okay.
So I up and down on the chair, my back gave out and I couldn't walk. So I had to go to the hospital there for 4 weeks learning to walk again. That was strike one.
Wow.
So then I took a rehab program.
Yep.
And the second disc slipped and I couldn't walk again. I went back to the hospital and that time I gave up. Yeah. And that was when the depression really hit me. Mm-hmm. Because I had nothing to live for anymore. My only purpose in life so far had been work, getting appreciation from the patient, being the best at what I was, being a know-it-all.
Well, it kind of sounds like your parents put that kind of pressure on you. So how could you be anything else? There was this
Exactly.
expectation of you.
Exactly. And when you're up on top of that pedestal, we know that you fall so
Hmm.
much harder and deeper.
Yeah, it feels great while you're up there, but you can't stay there forever.
Right. So that was bad enough. Then we already had immigration papers to Canada because my then ex-husband, who treated me, by the way, like the doormat I was at that point,
Mm.
um, he uh, wanted the children not to have to serve in the German army. So
Okay.
we had the immigration papers. And originally it was supposed that I was keeping on working in Germany and he would go with the kids to Canada. Now that didn't work anymore because I couldn't work. So I went
Yes.
to Canada with the kids and he stayed behind and was supposed to roll up the practice and then follow again in a
Okay.
few months or years.
Yeah.
So instead of that, he fell into his depression. He was mentally ill too and decided to end his life.
Oh my goodness. And how
So
did that affect you?
actually, it set me free from my mental prison.
I was gonna say it sounds like you needed sort of an out, but at the same time, I mean, now your kids just lost their father. So just even as a mother, that would be difficult to deal with.
It was extremely stressful for me, especially being in Canada, being all by myself, not knowing anybody. And the kids were definitely spoiled teenagers, not helpful in any way, used to treating me like the doormat I still was. And I felt like it. I
Yeah.
felt like dirt.
Today's episode is sponsored by J&L Flooring and Decor Center in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. We just got the floors in our house completely redone by J&L Flooring, and they look amazing. The floors that we used to have were this like they were just really ugly, and these ones are absolutely beautiful. They're exactly what I wanted in the price range that I needed. The best part is that they're super durable. I have 7 animals, right? 3 dogs and 4 cats. The floors need to be durable, and these ones are perfect. They're super easy to clean because one of those animals is still a puppy and he has accidents. Nothing's leaking through to my basement. It was happening with my old floors. You'd come downstairs and there'd be this little drip and a little puddle. Not a good thing. So, not to mention that the staff there are so friendly, very helpful. They can explain all of their different floors, the laminate, the tile, the hardwood, everything, carpets. They've got it all there, and the staff know what they're talking about. They also make these really beautiful epoxy tables there. My husband wants one so bad. They are gorgeous. If you need new flooring, then you need to go and talk to J&L Flooring. Tell them you saw this on the Write or Die show and see what they've got in stock. You want to check out jandlflooring.com or just go visit them at 4424 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, Ontario. You're not going to be disappointed.
So that's when I actually went in my van and decided to hit a bridge pillar.
Oh my. Did you actually hit it?
No, I
Good.
didn't. Nearly
Whew.
did. And the second before, an inner voice awakened that I had never heard before and told me, hey, you really don't want to die. You need help. And I tell you, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. You know, physician, heal thyself. You don't ask for help as if you're a doctor.
That's true. Yeah.
So I had to be an utter failure at everything. I couldn't even kill myself. And that way, I could actually drive myself to the emergency room here in Halifax and was admitted to the mental hospital.
Wow.
And I tell you one thing, everybody that has been an inpatient in a locked ward, in a QT room with a mattress on the floor and a hole in the ground, knows what it feels like to be on the bottom of the world. And after a while, you start talking to the other inmates, kind of, and you realize, shit, he lives on the street, or she comes directly from the street. She's just like me.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
I love that you say that because there isn't. There is absolutely no difference between somebody who's living on the street or somebody who's living in a mansion. We're
No
all
different.
people with our own mental issues, our own challenges, whatever.
Yeah, you're so right. And at that point, I like to quote my current husband. He has not much education, and you have to forgive him for his language. And he's a man, so that's so what one of his quotes that I like the best, and I can say it the way he says it because he's a man. He says, "We all eat the same, we all shit the same." Hmm.
I mean, he's not wrong. Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
love to quote him.
Yep. I like that better than the we all put our pants on one foot at a time. I like his better.
We all eat the same, we all shit the same. He
Yeah.
is so common sense. I love it.
That's awesome. All right. So you're in the mental ward. How long were you there for?
I was there 4 weeks, which is a very long time in a mental hospital in Canada. And I was only in there because I tried to kill myself inside again.
Okay. Okay. Because I was going to say, as far as I know, most people are in and out in a week tops.
Yeah, I was there that long. And then I was very fortunate again because it was in 1998 and I got into a day hospital program for 6 weeks, which was group psychotherapy.
Good.
And I learned a new word in English, which does not exist in German. Most
Oh.
English speakers don't know that. It's called assertive.
Oh.
I thought either you are aggressive
Yeah.
or you are submissive. There's no middle ground in German. Women are submissive, men are aggressive.
Huh.
Here in Canada, I suddenly learned that there's a middle ground. It's called assertive in English. So I love English.
Wow. I love talking to people who have lived in all sorts of different areas because I got to learn so many different things. Like I would have just assumed that it was the same in Germany.
Languages are different, and I'm very interested in myself learning still how different expressions feel and sound different in different languages. Of course, I can only talk between German and English. Those are the two languages I know the best.
Yeah.
But it's different in different languages. It is interesting. And many people that hear German speakers speak say it's rough.
Hmm.
And it is rougher. It's
Yeah.
harder to express emotions. And when you compare it then with the fluid, sweet, soft language like French or Italian,
Yeah.
oh, how
Language
emotional
is
is French?
so interesting. Okay,
Mm.
so going back, you finished your 4 weeks. Now you're at a program for 6 weeks. What are your kids doing during this whole time?
They're looking after themselves. They were
Okay.
15 and 16,
Okay.
and they were complaining and not doing anything. But they started to look after themselves. They had to. They had no choice.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. So
Oh, lawnmower. Okay. All right.
yes,
Just
there. I did not know that the Reno guys were coming back today to finish. So we might
that's
have
fine.
a
I just said it. I hope it's not my phone. You know
no,
that.
no. So we'll have a few little
Oh,
interruptions, but
awesome.
nothing I can do about it.
No problem. That's life, isn't it?
Yes.
For me, it's
Um,
sometimes my dog that comes and barks.
yeah, yeah. I have all my animals are upstairs, but usually I'll hear them running around and playing because I'm in the basement.
Ah.
Okay, so during this 6 weeks, you said there was a lot of group psychotherapy. What is one of the best takeaways from that?
The takeaway I took from all that, besides assertiveness, is seeing an 83-year-old lady in the program radically change her life for the better. And that's why I'm now always saying it's never too late to start living your best life. It's never too late.
Yeah, wow, in their 80s. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, she was very amazing and inspired me, and I said to myself, hey, if she can do it, you can do it.
That's right. And
And
for
that's
everyone
why
who's listening, you can
yes,
do it.
and that's exactly like people like you and I share our message.
Yeah.
We know if we could do it, and as regular people in the end,
Yes.
anybody can do it in their way.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Everybody has their own way, and you got to do what works for you. That's why I talk to tons of different guests so that we can have lots of ideas.
That's the best thing to do. And each person peeks in and said, do I like what he or she says? Do I like what he or she says? And
Exactly.
they sample and audit. And that's the best thing to do. And that's what we all do nowadays.
Exactly. And okay, after the 6 weeks, so you came out of that feeling a ton better.
Yeah.
And where did life take you from there?
Oh, life took me to home, looking after the kids, everyday life, trying to get the medication straight and trying to find friends. It was darn hard. I didn't know who I should get as friends and shouldn't. And my psychiatrist guided me a lot through that time. He's a good
Good.
guy. We're still together.
Oh, wow.
Well, together in a way. We're getting old together. We are quipping a little bit around. And at some point, I actually was psychotic and I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, depressive type.
Okay. So what does that mean? You were psychotic.
That means I saw things that weren't there. I did little figurines. I crafted them. I did some sculpting. I still have them.
Oh,
I
that's
should
kind of
put them
cool.
out on the website at some point. And I started talking to a little girl that I crafted that was laying on a dried out riverbed.
Oh,
I
okay.
was talking to her and I covered her with a blanket, and I didn't quite understand why until later, when I realized that it was probably me re-experiencing sexual abuse as a child that I had suppressed.
Oh, okay.
So that is one issue I worked through. And at that point, I gained weight from the medication, from eating, emotional eating. So at my highest point, I was 315 pounds and quite ballooned.
Yeah, I'm quite the emotional eater. I'm dealing dealing with that, trying to, and the medication, yeah, when I don't have like something to eat with it, I get such bad heartburn.
Mm.
So I need to be okay with the fact that I've gained a little bit, but I'm still okay. I'm still
Absolutely.
healthy. I'm still doing what I need to do, but it was very hard. I have a lot of issues around self-image and body weight. And I mean, I know a lot of people do, but that's one of my big things right now that I'm trying to work through.
It is so important because so many people have gained some COVID pounds.
Yeah.
So did I. Stress eating. What's the best when you eat stress? Something sweet, of course.
Oh yeah,
But
obviously.
I have one advantage because through following my program and in cooperation with my psychiatrist and studying, of course, a lot, I was able to discontinue all my medication and replace them with appropriate supplements.
Okay,
And I don't need them.
that's good.
So that has helped my appetite because many people that take antipsychotics, like I was for a long time,
Mhm.
know that they increase your appetite.
Yes,
You want to eat all the time.
yeah, when my kid was younger, before before we found out that the antidepressants were actually the best thing for him, they had put him on a bunch of different antipsychotics to try and figure it out.
Mhm.
And he gained so much weight. And I mean, when you're little, it is hard enough growing up and hormones and bullies and all this stuff. And then you add on that you're gaining weight and it's so hard to take it back off. And as a parent, I'm trying to do my best to, talk healthy lifestyle, not weight, but it's so difficult.
It's difficult, and kids can be cruel, as can adults,
Oh
because someone
yeah.
that's obese, that's the last really feature of a human being that people can discriminate against
Yep.
without being called out. Because if somebody tries to sit on a restaurant chair and it happens to have armrests, which is a bad feature for obese people because you get
Oh
either stuck or you
yeah.
don't fit, that's what I experienced. Very embarrassing. But if that
I never
happens,
thought of that.
yeah, people don't think about things like that. And other people look and say, hey, that fat, lazy slob there. It's just not true. I
Yeah.
found that obese people are the ones that have the most discipline because they're trying so hard to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yes, that is such a good point. All right. So eventually you met your now husband. How many years went by between when you got out from the program, from the 6-week program to when you met him?
It was about 6 months, 9 months.
Oh, not even years. Okay.
No, no,
Wow.
no. Actually, it was funny because the way I met him was serendipity again. And at some point, I'll share the story. It's quite a long story, very unlikely to meet him, but it happened. And we are together after now 23 years. We are still together.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and when I met him, my psychiatrist asked, "Did you meet somebody?" Because he realized it. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What's his name?" So I told him the name, and he thought for a moment, and he said, "He's a good guy." I didn't know how he knew. So I asked my husband next time I saw him, my then boyfriend, and he said to me, "Oh yeah, I have seen him last year when my wife left me for my best friend
Oh,
because I wanted to drink myself to death." So
wow. So then he also understands where you're coming from with your depression and your suicidal thoughts.
absolutely, he
That's
went
helpful.
he went with me through thick and thin.
That
And
is awesome.
at some point, when I had to go back to the mental hospital, when I was still on the dark side, as I call it, in the dark night of the soul, and I wanted to kill myself, and the psychiatrist recommended ECT. I had nothing against it. I was unable to say yes or no. They would have
Oh,
done it if my dear hubby Mike wouldn't have said, "No, you're not doing it. She's getting
oh.
well without it."
Huh.
He was my next of kin and he was my power of attorney, so he had to say. And they said,
Yes.
"But Mr. we should really do it." So she get well. You see, she'll get well on her own, he said.
Hmm.
And I said, "If you do it, I'll sue you." So they didn't. And
Yeah.
a week later, I was home. I was struggling, but I didn't have to have ECT.
Hmm.
And I'm forever grateful that he did it because I've seen people that have received it and suffered memory loss and other nasty side effects
Wow.
that I'm not a friend anymore of it.
Yeah.
There's so many other methods that should be tried first often and haven't.
So for
And
those who are listening, tell us what it is.
well, ECT is some of you might have watched that horror movie, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where people get ECT. They put electrodes of your head, put electric power to your head, and induce seizures. And nowadays they do it when you are in anesthesia, so you hear and feel nothing. The body don't convulse. It is very gentle, the action of it, but still the brain gets zapped heavily with electricity in a way that changes the brain waves. Yes, it can improve depression and it can do it fast. It is one of the many methods. But many people have a permanent change in their personality or they experience permanent memory loss. So you have to weigh it very carefully if that's really appropriate in your case.
Yes, exactly. So I love that you're doing so well now. What would you tell somebody that is listening who's kind of going through their own? I think I want to drive into this. What was it? A bridge column thing. What's your advice to them?
I would say don't give up. If you are stuck in a dark place, don't give up. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for you too. And no, it's not a freight train.
I like that. Everybody always says light at the tunnel, but yeah, I guess it could have been the train going.
That's the butt sayers. That's the first thing when I coach somebody, I say, put a little rubber around your wrist. And every time you say butt, give you a little pain to get rid of the butt.
Yep.
Think about what you want to say because butt negates everything you said before that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine your boss says to you, "You did a really good job in that assignment, but this and this and this is bad." What did you hear? This and this and this was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we do the same with ourselves. We punish us every day.
Yeah, we are our absolute worst critics.
We can be. It's time to change it.
Yes, exactly. If you would not say it to a friend, do not say it to yourself.
I always say, be your own best friend. And if you can't be it now, get some help, get a good coach to help you become your own best friend.
I like that. I like that a
How
lot.
can you love somebody else? How can you give from yourself to others? If you don't love yourself, if your cup is not full to the overflow, you're draining your own cup and you end up with feeling drained and burned out.
Exactly. Exactly. So now tell us about the book. Where do we find them? Where can people get their hands on them?
On what?
Your book.
Oh, I wrote a few now.
Well, books.
My books are on Amazon.
Perfect.
They're easiest to find by either going to the sparklesisters.org website, where you can find me now hanging out this year more and more, because this is my baby. I want to pay it forward. And you can also go to my personal website, which is docchristine.com, DOCCHRISTINE.com. And there's a link to the Sparkle Sisters, obviously, too. And if you can listen to my story, I have a few videos, I have a free course, I have a free training, all kinds of free stuff, free books. You can get my books for free if you ask me, and you'll find the links to download them. And I'm now a multiple Amazon bestseller, #1 bestseller, international bestseller. It has been so far a fun ride overall, a big challenge, but I discovered, I really think so, that the greatest challenges prepare you for a better future.
Yes. And we're going to have all of those links down in the description below, so you can very easily get a hold of Christine's books. Join that Sparkle Sisters group. Community is always needed, so be sure to check that out as well. And where do people follow you other than the Sparkle Sisters in your website?
Oh, yes, you can follow me everywhere. Just Google Dr. Christine Sauer and go to your favorite platform. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. Oh, you find me everywhere. Best is sparklesisters.org, because I'll be hanging out there every day this year. And every twice a month, we'll have our Sparkle Sister sharing session. Those are absolutely free, where we all can share with other people what we learned, what our challenges were, and how we want to start to sparkle.
I love it. So thank you so much, Christine, for being on the show and sharing with us.
Thanks so much, Randy, for having me. It was a pleasure.
So we have a sponsor for today's episode. It is Taylor Smith Design. And I have been using the services for, I guess, almost over a year now. I use the do-it-yourself services, and it makes posting on my social media so much easier. Seriously. They have a user-friendly platform where I can schedule all of my posts for the whole year on multiple social sites at the same time. The best part about that is that I can create recurring posts, so I don't have to constantly redo the same thing, which works great when promoting my books. Plus, if you run multiple businesses like I do, since I'm my kid's momager, you can hook it up to multiple accounts. One price for all of your needs, and it saves me so much time. Depending on the level that you sign up for, it can do so much more than just that. I'm still trying to figure out some of the features that it offers. If you need an affordable solution for your social media needs, then go to getseensocial.ca, use code WRITEORDIE to get your first month totally free. All right. Who doesn't like free? Remember, you want to go to getseensocial.ca and use the code WRITEORDIE. Get that first month free. So thank you, Christine, again for being on the show. It was so enlightening, the difference between, what we have here in Canada and what you experienced in Germany, especially that assertiveness part. I would have just assumed it was everywhere, but my bad. It is not. So thank you for sharing that. Be sure to check out the links down below so you can get a hold of Christine's books and join the community of Sparkle Sisters. Love the name of that. So cool. As well, don't forget to check out our merch store. 10% of the proceeds goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. And remember, The only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.